Hello and welcome back to Dorm Room Diplomacy. I'll be your host today. My name is Matthew, and I will be joined by my good friend, Mr. Jack Arnold.
Hello.
Hello, hello. This is the 4th episode. How has your week been going?
Just cruising along. Getting there done.
Just cruising along.
Absolutely. 4th episode.
Yeah.
Making some good progress here.
We talked. I guess we are making some progress.
Hey, like 3's bigger than 4. Fucking 4 bigger than 3. Who knows?
True. Yeah, I'm glad Monkey can do math. But we've not talked about your classes yet and how those have been going. Since you got in. So how are your classes going?
Quite interestingly,
yeah.
I have, I'm pretty happy with a lot of my classes. I have some nutcases for sure, but they're kind of like, little like
good nutcases.
They're like hamsters, in a hamster cage. Like they're funny to watch. They're a little weird, but they can't actually hurt you.
I assume you mean professors, yes? Or
yes.
Are these just
just just random people. No, yeah, professors. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, I actually like pretty much all my professors, but some of them are just nut jobs. It's been pretty funny. I know I was telling you briefly, but the class is called Business Information Systems, and the professor of the class, I'm not gonna like dox him or anything, but
fair enough.
He has a net worth of $500 million.
I mean, you basically just doxed him.
What that means fucking nothing.
How many people that are professors at Loyola have a net worth of $500 million?
All of them. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's very.
I'm sure he has.
No, he's very reputable.
I
just won't make it that easy to find him. But because I don't know, nothing in his records shows that he works at Loyola. So
really,
maybe that'll help him out. But he just started. So, but all I know is I will be doing my best to become very good friends with him. Not just because like I just want to learn from this guy. Like I just
if you had to guess, what's his age? Like what's his
early 40s, late 30s.
Okay, gotcha. Oh wow.
So probably early 40s, but I mean,
gotcha.
He's probably pretty, So, he's a very interesting guy. He has a ton of experience, and I just really want to talk to him more and get to know him a little better and try and learn a little bit from him. But
sick.
He's a really cool guy. And then
what's your difficult classes?
Most of them aren't that difficult. I mean, that class that he teaches is basically like learning to use Excel, which is like, it's useful, yes, but it's also pretty easy to like teach yourself. I have a philosophy class that is mentally demanding, but I really enjoy philosophy and I really like kind of pushing my thought, I guess, or at least trying to think in new ways, which certainly helps with. And he's a really smart guy. He got a degree in computer science
his teaching
originally and made all of his money and then went to Northwestern and got a PhD in philosophy. And he's like, I'm aware it's completely useless, but I love it and I just want to try and share my experience. And I'm like, But he's a very smart guy and he's really well spoken, and I kind of like how he pieces arguments together. So that's really interesting. So
Well, talk about pursuing, your passions and such.
Oh, I know, right?
Great example,
that's
right?
Crazy. Like, there's no payout with that.
Financially free at like what? He'd have to be financially free at like what, 30?
Oh, he's young. Like, he's
really?
probably early 30s.
Yeah.
So.
Damn.
I know.
That's insane.
Yeah. So he's
talk about a lifestyle.
Guy. I know, right? But like at the same time, these people I'm like, why are you teaching at a university? But hey, I'm not complaining. Works out good for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. You get to see many different, people in many different industries with different
Mm-hmm.
experiences.
Right.
That's the coolest part about college is that your teachers most of the time aren't just your cut and dry, I just got out of grad school or I just got
Mm-hmm.
out of whatever the fuck school
Right.
and I'm going to teach you mathematics or I'm going to teach you English.
Right.
Generally the really good teachers, and that's what I really love about this college thing is that they've like actually been in the field, they've worked, they've seen the world and they can
Mm-hmm.
just speak to that experience. And
Yeah.
if you get them, if you just go after hours and it's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just talk to you. It's great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
And truly, like that's something that I feel everyone should try and take advantage of is if you know your professor has like real world experience, especially in a field that you're somewhat interested in entering, like
Mhm.
that's so much more valuable than the in class curriculum. Like, in all
Yeah.
honesty, like just that experience is worth a lot. So
Just showing up at office hours is really cool too.
I definitely plan on taking advantage of that with a couple of mine.
For sure. How big are your classes, like students wise? Just curious.
Not that big. Really not that big. Biggest one's
Like
probably like,
50s?
yeah, biggest one's probably maybe 50. Most of them are probably like 20.
Shit, really?
There's some where it's big lecture halls of like a couple hundred. But most of mine are not that way.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
which I
That's
actually
pretty good.
really
Is that
like.
do you think that's just because the major you're in, or is that more just the way Loyola does stuff?
It's a little bit of both.
Both.
Loyola's pretty, the student to faculty ratio is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, none of my major really requires the big lecture hall classes. I know they do some seminar classes in the business school because there's a large
Mhm.
auditorium that I see classes in all the time, and that's probably 150, 200.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really not that bad, and I really do like the having the
Smaller
smaller class
class.
size. It just kind of allows you to be more
Yeah.
involved and a more have more part in whether
Uh-huh.
discussion or just anything that's really going on, which makes it kind of
Well,
nice.
what I found in the really big classes is that, and tip for, people that, come to college, but what I found is that if you sit down way in the front,
Hmm.
even if you don't like talk to the teacher, they're going to have if you do it consistently, I've noticed that they have like your face in mind and you can see like whenever you go up and do have to talk to them, you can
Hmm.
see their eyes kind of light up a little bit like, oh, hey, you're the one sitting right in front of my desk every
Yeah,
time.
and,
And it
and
gives you a
yeah,
little bit of an advantage,
right.
but
Well, just yeah,
I
in
don't know
such
how
a large
measurable.
class setting like that, I mean, they don't care, who's there
Yeah.
really. So yeah,
But
it's interesting.
segueing into another thing that has to deal with students and yeah, we have the recent college loan debt forgiveness bill, and our main topic for today. It's been a fairly big thing for students that are sons and daughters and so on and so forth of, you know, low to fairly decently of the way into the middle class American people. Just curious what your, opinion is on it just briefly, how do you feel that they've implemented the way this kind of bill works? It's not really a bill; it's approved by the DOE, the Department of Education. But how do you feel about how they're taking this forward?
Well, I just want you to know that the entire time you're introducing that, I just had a huge smile on my face, um,
Yeah.
and was chuckling to myself. And it really comes down to this. Who doesn't love free money, right? Because that's all it is. It's free money. There's no consequences to this, right?
There's no consequences. It's just
What
free fucking
what
money. That's all it is.
Imagine this, let's pay for all of these, college students getting,
Mhm.
random degrees
And
in
yeah,
possibly useless, fields of study.
let's not
Um,
alienate people here,
we wouldn't
Jack.
want to
But
do that. We wouldn't want to do that.
no, not at all. But
That would be rather rude of us.
it would. But I think our
But
viewers understand the stereotype that we're possibly creating here.
let's just say, we go ahead and we do that, and we just give free money to everyone. And this is just perfect, right? This is just phenomenal. I love
free money, right?
I love living in a utopia. This is the greatest country in the world. I'm so glad that our politicians are just masterful diplomatic leaders. Like, just they're able to just, craft these beautiful domestic policies, and
it's great, isn't it?
I'm just so glad. So glad.
Well, yeah. So to get into the nitty-gritty of it, the Department of Education announced that it has approved more than $10 billion in debt relief for over, it quotes, 175,000 borrowers in the next 10 months.
So the one thing I want to do very quick, and I didn't look this up before, but I'm going to look it up right now, because I think when we talk about policies like this, and same thing with last week, when we were kind of talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, when we go over the really large government policies, you just you get so used to hearing these large numbers and don't really realize like the magnitude of it.
Oh yeah, totally.
And let's see.
I mean, it's totally an example of the law of large numbers.
Yeah. Apologies for clacking away on the keyboard, but let's see. Okay. So pulled up a little comparison here. I know.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're gonna pull up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is the one. Okay. So, and I just love this statistic, and I used to just have it memorized, but I forgot.
It's so funny. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Oh yeah. And so we talk about, all of these people, and when it comes to like income, you're talking about people with like millions of dollars, right?
Right.
Obviously there's a pretty disproportionate amount of people in the country that are actually billionaires. There's a lot of millionaires, and a lot of people.
Not a lot of billionaires.
A lot of people think of that, and they're like, "Wow, $1 million, that's a lot." And $1 billion, that's just like, that's more than 1 million, but like not that much more. And to put it into perspective a little bit, 1 million seconds in days is 11.57 days. So even if we want to round up, and let's just say it's 12 days.
It's 12 days.
12 days. 1 billion seconds. So that was 1 million seconds. 1 billion seconds. Okay. The same metric of measurement, right? Seconds. Okay. Like 1, 2 seconds. Okay. Like 1 billion seconds in days is 31.7 years.
That's ridiculous.
It's like people just don't think about how vastly different these two numbers are. Like, you're literally talking about 12 days versus 32 years.
And then you go look at the some of these companies in the world, and I don't know what the GDP is this year, but I know it's above $500 billion.
Yeah, and and then the comparison from $1 billion to $1 trillion is just it's the same like exponential increase. And so it's crazy. And so we throw out a number like that, like 10 billion is spent on this. And, like last week, what was it, like 70 billion or something? It's like you throw out these numbers and you just get so used to hearing these outrageous amounts of money and don't actually think about how much that actually is. Like, it's not just like, oh yeah, just another 10 billion. Yeah. And so I don't know, people just kind of brush it under the rug like it's no big deal. But anything like this, and even if this was designed well, which it's not, it would still be just placing excess stress on the economy just because of the money itself. But
it's crazy.
Since we have political masterminds in charge of our country, somehow we were able to make it a little bit worse.
I just want to use another, metric to put this into perspective that kind of goes based off of what you were saying. Average minimum wage, right? Is like $15 an hour. Some places. California, I know, is up to that now, but I don't know what it is around here.
Oh my gosh, that reminds
We'll
me.
talk about that later. Don't you talk about that later. That's a topic for later.
Okay, I do have a little aside when you're done though.
But so yeah, $15 an hour. In order to pay out this $1 billion, just to put it in another metric, right? You're getting paid $1 a second. Yeah, just like you said. You'd be being making $60 a minute, $3,600 an hour, and it just goes up. Like, holy shit! It takes you 33 years to get paid $1 billion at $1 a second.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone that makes $1 a second? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, go on.
Ah, man. Well, you just said that we're talking about the minimum wage and mentioned California. And it jogged my memory. But did you hear that they're passing a state mandate to require fast food chains to raise the minimum wage to $20?
I heard about this.
Except only fast food chains.
Big ones?
No. It's only large scale fast food chains. And so it's just
it's ridiculous. It's only like the companies, I think they have to have over 200 brick and mortar. It's something ridiculous.
No, yeah. It's like, so let's just, and this is the, Democratic administration. And like, I hate to, make it a Democrat and a Republican thing, because I just hate the party system. And like neither party at all is able to, like, I don't really affiliate that well with either party, but it's like, you take, for the sake of the argument, I mean, it's the Democratic, administration who is supposedly, hates the corporatization of America, I mean, like, basically trying to make us a socialist country, essentially. And now they're just, giving just these excess amounts of money to require fast food chains to raise their minimum wage, and completely stripping that out of the pockets of all of the, locally owned and ran restaurants and businesses. Like, anyone who's a minimum wage worker is just going to go work at McDonald's and Taco Bell, and all you're doing is just,
like,
fattening up the corporation.
You're trying to take, again, it's everything goes back to action reaction. Like, yes, you are taking money away and out of the pockets of corporate billionaires and corporate big business. Like, yes, you are doing that, but you're also engaging a large amount of the population. And hey, just like you said, I want to go get paid $20 some an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
For running a fryer and flipping burgers. Like, fuck, that pays more than some engineering jobs. Like,
that's like, it's just, and like, obviously, just the price or the cost of living in California is just absurd. And like,
it is absurd.
I would agree. Like, yes, they need to make enough money to survive, but at the same time, this is not how we do it, guys. Like, I don't know. It's kind of comical. Who knows what they're doing over there in La La Land?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, and I'm going to go on the record and say this, but, when it comes to fast food or food in general, mom and pop shops are better 9 out of 10 times than
you don't even have to go on the record for that. This is just
your McDonald's.
Verifiably true.
Just as a foodie, it makes me angry.
I know that. Literally cut out all of the economics of it, all the financial implications. Like, this is a food problem, guys.
This is a food problem. This is a service industry problem. You are destroying the food that I hold so dear. Like,
it's criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Stop being so back-assward about everything.
Yeah. I find it hilarious. Until it affects me. Then I get angry.
Yeah. Anyway, the college loan debt forgiveness.
Yeah.
So, Like I said, it's supposed to impact a large number of people. Unfortunately, I should probably maybe we should look it up how many people are actually in the higher education system at the moment. But it's a
So
lot,
I do
and
have
I know
a
it's more than 175,000 people
yeah.
by a fair margin.
So I don't know what's the actual number of people currently in higher education, but the statistic I was able to pull was in the United States, there's 45 million people that currently own federal loans taken out specifically for college, and the total on the amount owed by these 45 million people amounts to a cute little $1.6 trillion.
Holy shit!
Yeah. But a
Yeah,
trillion's not that much, you know.
No, it's not at all. I just looked it up. It's approximately 19 million college students in the
Currently.
United States in
So then
2020.
so then the 45 would account for all of the people currently in college that have taken out federal loans for school, in addition
Yep.
to everyone currently paying off their student loans on whatever kind of program they have. So this could be, you know, as much as like 20, 30 years even.
Right. And so essentially what this does is it gives students with parents that are making, as a single parent, making up to $125,000, or linearly scaling as a married couple of less than $250,000. And if you acquire Pell Grants, which the only way to acquire Pell Grants because of FAFSA is if you are well under those numbers, you're allowed up to $20,000. Elsewise, you're allowed up to $10,000 in debt forgiveness. There's a total of $20 billion allocated for this plan, 10 of which are over the next 10 months, like I said earlier. So a lot of money throwing around. Actually, people that are fairly wealthy, I don't know. Maybe not in California, $250,000 is a lot of money, but living in the Midwest, $250,000 as a couple is more than a comfortable living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely. It's yeah. It's very strange to me how they've chosen to implement this, just because of the whole idea was just to help a lot of lower income students to be able to pay back
right.
student loans. Which yes, it is obvious, like the student loan crisis. I mean, there's more debt owed for college than there is for car loans or credit cards or consumer
Yeah.
debt or like house mortgages, like literally everything.
For sure.
It is number one on the list of debt owed just by people.
Yep.
Like transcends age, and is literally just the most owed by anyone in the country. And so it is obviously a problem. And I get that things need to be done to address it, but it is just like comically terrible how poorly this has been implemented to just not at all help the people they wanted to help.
Yeah. I think I need to make a little bit of a comment here. Debt in this sense, at least in my opinion, is not bad. This debt is not bad debt because there's value. You're gaining value out of this debt, right? You're gaining an education. So it's not like, I think that you can, when they say there's whatever you said, $1.6 trillion in US debt. Yes, there is $1.6 trillion in US education debt, but I mean, a lot of that debt is necessary to produce individuals that work in a society such as ours.
Right.
Not that people aren't capable of working without an education. Not that that's something that I don't think should change and can be a topic for a different episode, but it's required in our current, the way our current society works. And it's important for employers. So I do think it's important. And I think this debt is unavoidable to an extent. But I still think we need to be helping people in the poverty level.
So
I guess my overall opinion is that I think we're giving away too much debt, or too much help, too much forgiveness to people that perhaps don't need it.
That I agree with.
And also, $20 billion, you're not making a fucking dent. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
in my opinion, what it comes down to is we have kind of two, let's say, sectors of the population, that being blue collar and white collar. And
Hmm.
it kind of used to have a little bit different connotation to it. But, uh, currently, white collar essentially means college educated, and blue collar would be not college educated. And what this basically does, and you were kind of talking about the debt as a necessary debt to kind of educate the populace, and
Hmm.
I agree with that to an extent, but I think that every student now and in the past and in the future needs to look at college um, at like a risk to reward ratio. It needs
Yeah.
to be or an investment. Like you need to be getting a return on your investment. That's the whole point of this. The whole point of going to get an education. You need to be able to look at your education, look at where it's going to place you after graduating or doing whatever, or even during the course of your education. You need to, look at this prior to making such a commitment, and you need to say, okay, this is a large commitment of my, finances. This is a large commitment of my time, my energy. This is a big deal.
Your livelihood.
Exactly. This is everything for X amount of years. And you need to look at that and you need to say, is this investment going to net me something greater afterwards? Is
Yeah.
me putting in this investment of money, time, etc., going to give me a larger return, a more beneficial return than where I'm at currently? And
Right.
even if you're not paying for it, even if like someone else is paying for it, like you still need to look at that kind of that risk to reward. And I mean that's a whole nother topic for people that whose parents are paying for it and then are
Hmm.
still receiving aid,
Yeah.
and also just for people's parents who are paying for it in general. Like, I mean, I know it's a very different situation, but at least for myself, having to pay for school is a while annoying, is a fantastic motivator to help me to keep my shit together.
For
And
sure.
and I also have to look at it like if I do not genuinely believe that, this is going to net me a larger return than what I'm investing into it, then it is not worth doing. And it's as
Yeah.
simple as that. And I think everyone needs to look at that regardless of your situation.
And you need to look at it really, you need to take a moment to yourself, multiple moments, and actually, this isn't something you just brush over.
Yeah.
Like, everything that you've been saying is 100% true to the fullest extent. You cannot brush over the question. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, as every college student entering and as every, you know, student at some point has felt, there's a very, 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 very high general pressure to go to college in our current society, just
Right.
based off stigmatisms.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And so kind of piggybacking off of that, what I kind of wanted to set up that risk versus reward, to kind of go back to what I was saying about blue collar and white collar. And what it comes down to is you have a lot of these blue collar workers. And I mean, I hate to say blue collar because there's almost like I don't know, there's,
Bad
right,
connotation.
exactly. And like this is literally
Yeah,
like this is the lifeblood of the country. Like this
I
is
know.
your like your tradesmen, like specific industries trained, like individuals. And even if you go to like a trade school or something like that, like I mean these are the people keeping this country alive essentially.
Here's a good, a good analogy. You wouldn't have food on your table if it
Yeah.
weren't for these people.
No,
Like it
exactly.
seriously.
And so that's why I hate
Um,
to use that term because they're so vitally important to the survival of this nation. But if you just categorize it from college educated and non college educated, and you propose to me that you are going to help people who have taken out loans as an investment in themselves, who are now unable to support themselves because they did not take that, risk to reward. They did not look at the ROI that they could be getting from their investment in an education. and they are now financially unable to, you know, make that return on their investment. Um, and you are now going to take the money from these blue collar workers and use it to pay for this debt in, the form of tax dollars.
Right.
And like what it really comes down to is it's just a lot of people going to school, not looking at the risk to reward, just thinking that it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be,
Mhm.
rainbows and unicorns at the end of the
Right.
tunnel. And then realizing that you actually do need to, get your shit together, and you need to be dedicated to, like, I guess, progressing yourself, or like, looking for jobs and getting internships, and
Yeah.
doing all of the things that college should, in quotations, enable you to do. And when none of that's taken advantage of, then you get out and you're like, oh shit, well, what do I do now? I'm working the same job I could have worked in high school,
Yeah. Agreed. And I think that I've got two things. Well, three things. Firstly, I don't care who says otherwise. I don't care what your opinion is. College is too expensive. It really is. It just is too. And I
You're
understand,
fucking telling
like
me.
that. I understand that there's prestigious schools that can charge more. Sure, I don't care. Go for it. You're a private entity. But as a state college, even in state, it's too fucking expensive. Like,
No.
people cannot afford this. And
Yeah.
that's why, in my opinion, I think that the lower 20%, and it's so hard to quantify this. It's so hard. And I'm throwing out numbers here, but the lower 20% that by some quantitative measure, and you can't do this, but because you can't discriminate based on, whether someone has a work ethic or not. But those people that want those people don't have anything else. They don't. They
The-
don't have
the-
anywhere else to go. And if getting an education in a highly needed field provides them some sort of better quality of living, or some sort of, raise in their, socioeconomic status, and changes their families and the families' lives,
Mhm.
like, why would you not want productive members of society
Right. Yeah.
getting the ability to go to college, even if it requires taxpayers' money? Like, I understand it still requires taxpayers' money,
Yeah.
but some people that are getting this help should not be getting this help, is I guess what I'm saying.
Well, no, it's a lot of the help is going to people who did not realize what a large commitment college is, both financially and like time-wise, and then just are completely caught off guard by, you know, having to actually deal with the repercussions for that.
And
And
that's my next thing. Like I said, pressure to go to college, so on and so forth. But there's pressure from the society. There's pressure from, employers and stuff to have an education. But there's also pressure that, from more of a sociological standpoint, that college is a proving grounds of sorts, and college is a place where, you have to go to experience a literal, you know,
Mhm.
uh, changing point in your life, a proving point in your life. Like, it's part of a young adult's life. Like, that's a thing. That is
Mhm.
a big thing. That is and that's, unfortunately, a lot of students, whether you're in the higher, the lower, the mid, socioeconomic status tiers, it's going to be a hell of a lot more of a burden for the students that look at it that way, that are in the lower, economic standpoint, than it is in the higher economic standpoint. And that's just really
Mhm.
unfortunate for some students, because
Yeah.
it is genuinely part of, growing up now. And it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and I do think that idea is slowly being detached, and it's becoming less
Yeah.
and less of a necessity. And so it's kind of just, it's so hard to think far enough ahead in the future, but I really do think that you just kind of need to look at where you want to end up, in however many years, what your aspirations are, and just, if going to school enables you to do that, then yes, go to school. But if you can do it without going to school, then you should. And uh, I mean, I'm not even sure of the answer to that for myself. And who are we?
There you go.
Who are
There
we
you
to
go.
be even speaking on this?
Right.
And
Exactly.
like we're talking about, like I mean, we're fucking college students, like, and I don't
And
know.
we're captive to the same fucking issues.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. And so don't do what I do, just do what I say, right? Because I don't know what's going on.
yeah.
And obviously there's varying degrees of privilege
Right.
involved, and I obviously realize that, but like you just got to think about it, like I was saying previously, about if it really is worth the significant investment that it is.
For sure.
And I mean, that's why we're facing the problem that we are currently. And it's just putting, an excised amount of stress on people who really didn't, deserve to have this placed upon them. And a
Yep.
lot of people are receiving aid and benefits just because of, a lack of foresight. And like, yes, I get that society just, it was very much pushed by society, especially 5-10 years ago. And so I have a degree of sympathy for those who felt it really was a necessity, and it used to be a lot more essential.
Mhm.
There's just such a plethora of knowledge available now that you really can become well trained in certain professions without needing to pay you know absurd amounts of tuition. And so it's it really is quite the nuanced situation, and
Uh-huh.
I don't even have my opinions entirely formulated on it, because
Right.
I really don't know. And that's something I'm trying to figure out for myself. But I hope at least, like, it's just, I don't know, it just
So
is really,
basically,
it's important to
join
kind of
us in the
weigh all the
club.
options. Yeah, right.
Join
Yeah,
us in the club.
exactly. Man, I don't know. It's just it.
I don't know. But one of the other things that I kind of wanted to discuss was there's a provision in this authorization by the DOE that basically allows you to make a minimum payment um
Mm,
of some sort, and it allows you to pay less on your loans just because of the federal government's going to say that's how it is.
mhm.
Um, $10 billion, 10 months, $20 billion period. That's $20 billion. That doesn't get reapproved. That's the cap. That's the end. That's when this
Yeah,
money runs out. How fast do you think that money's
it's.
going to get spent?
I mean,
No, no, no,
it's.
no. Like legitimately, this is not something that's going to last for 5 years. You are in a bubble of time right in this moment, and the next, 18, maybe even less than that, 18 months, where this is happening.
Yeah,
This is a
absolutely.
bubble.
No, it's gonna vanish as quickly as it came, and it's just it's a political flourish.
Yeah,
It's
that's the next thing.
a last little tack onto the presidency, because it was
Yep.
promised. You know, it was an original, like, fundamental pillar of the campaign,
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
so it's finally
It's
getting.
funny.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, we talk about all these higher societal, reasonings and the importance of education and all that shit, but ultimately this really comes down to an attempt to buy more votes as the midterms come up, in my opinion. And that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is just truly too bad, because it's, I mean, the student debt crisis is a serious problem, and there are a lot of people who are, uh, even on the borderline of poverty, who have student loans and are in need of this money. And it is just so sad to me that just a large majority of it is going to, upper middle class and even upper class families, with students who just went to college, took out loans for it just because, to have the quote unquote college experience, and then are unable to financially support that decision because, you know, they didn't prepare themselves for a career following, like, at all.
And and unfortunately sometimes it's not even like didn't prepare themselves for a degree or didn't,
Yeah,
I
just
didn't know that it was going to be so hard doing engineering. No, that's not
yeah,
what it is. Some of the time it comes down to, and unfortunately, it's a harsh reality to some students that some jobs don't make money.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
right.
There's no other way to put it. And I can't sugarcoat it in any way, but it is a fundamental function of the economy based off
Mhm.
of supply and demand. What jobs are not going to be required in the economy are very clear just by trends of the economy. Like,
Right.
it's not hard to interpret this, but yet these degrees still exist. These professors still get paid a lot of money to do their jobs, and people still take them. And unfortunately, I can understand people can be interested in these things. That's great. Like, it's part of, human history. It's, there's tons of great and noble reasons for it. But unfortunately, if you don't have the ability to somehow either be a prodigy or have the wealth to back you up prior to going into college, it's
Mhm.
a really unfortunate situation for a lot of those students. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no
Right.
way to get around it.
And it is truly like unfortunate. It's not like, oh, you're making a bad choice. Shame on you. Like, I
Right.
truly commend anyone who can work a profession just solely for the passion of it
Right.
if it puts them in a terrible financial place. Like, I get like,
Mhm.
if you're financially okay, like you're, financially independent and can support yourself, and are doing something you love, then that's great. But I'm saying, like, the people who are not financially okay and are just doing something because they love it, I truly do commend those people. That takes a just next level of dedication. But I mean, what you're saying is true. The unfortunate reality of how, our economy works is there are jobs that make money and there are jobs that do not. And it really is as simple as that, however much it sucks to admit. And, so you just, yeah, you have a lot of people, whether it's something you just don't realize or it's something and just, I guess, yeah, I don't know, don't realize
It
the
Yeah.
repercussions of what's going to actually happen, which it is truly unfortunate.
All it is sad and unfortunate.
Yeah.
And there's some fault to those people. I mean, you have to, like you said, you have to sit down, have an
Hmm.
inner dialogue, have that conversation with yourself. Not only is it going to college versus not going to college, it's what
Hmm.
degree I'm getting, because unfortunately, we have to all, at some points in our lives, as much as we hate it, be realists. We have to be realists because we're living in reality, and step back
I
and
love
be
that.
like, but at the same time, it just sucks. Like, there is nothing more to get around it. It just sucks.
Yeah, and
Reality sucks.
right. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
That's my political party. It's the realists.
Yeah.
Is you know
I affiliate as a realist.
I get, yeah. It's a difficult situation for sure, and I do sympathize with people who were like forced because of certain external pressures to go to school, whether it was society or whether it was like family or whatever it
Mhm.
may be. Like, if you felt a pressure to go to school, and then even if you like looked at the risk to reward and you looked at you know and didn't think it was worth the investment, but still were forced to go because it's a societal norm or whatever. Like, that is truly a difficult situation because um, yeah, I mean, what can you really do with that?
What can you do?
So,
Yeah. It's really bad. Yeah. It sucks.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
So
pretty much.
I did. I do love my statistics. I same thing as last week. The University of Pennsylvania used their Penn Wharton budget model on this, similarly to the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
And so they ran some numbers. And I think these statistics are just important to note,
Hmm.
to kind of put our whole argument in perspective, because you can say everything and it's only subjective, but when you look at the data, that's kind of when you go, oh shit.
This is
Um,
actually an objective
and
thing.
so between 69 and 73, the reason there's a discrepancy in this is because they're not exactly sure on how quickly it's going to be distributed. But between 69 and 73% of the debt forgiven will end up accruing to households in the top 60% of the income distribution. That in
Ouch.
itself is just ridiculous. And that's just because of the brackets that they've set up and are planning to distribute to.
Because who do you think's going to college the most, guys?
Exactly. And so, it's just...
It's pretty intuitive.
I know. It's just
Go on.
absurd. Well, let's see here. So let's see. I have here, increasing the amount of debt forgiveness from $10,000 to $50,000 per borrower also increases the current year total cost from $311 billion to $820.3 billion. And basically what this is proposing is, because the change is proposed, like it's supposed to be something that scales. Should this actually become like legislation, and I mean, which it pretty much is at this point, should this continue to scale, which is proposed by the administration, this is basically just plotting if it were to go and continue to climb up the ladder.
They continue to renew it, you mean?
Right, exactly. It's going to bring it to $820 billion for the case of universal coverage. And that cost...
Is there a time span on that?
This is going to be, so let's see, increasing... That would just be if it... So currently it's at $10,000 per borrower. That's saying if they increased it to $50,000 per borrower for the same, what is it, a 10-year payout?
Yeah,
So...
for 10-month payout, sorry?
Or is that what it is? It's whatever
it's 10 months.
It's what they said is it's whatever the current year payout is, current year payout rate. So
it's just over $10 billion for this year.
Okay, so yeah, and so
to date.
It is kind of scary, honestly, to think that if this actually ends up being renewed, which I highly doubt. I truly doubt that this will get renewed whatsoever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not
politics based. I mean, there's just been so much backlash.
Yeah.
Across the board, within the administration's own party, like just it kind of has it's transcended all party lines here, because it's just not helping anyone it was designed to help.
Nope.
So yeah.
The only one good thing about it is I think they were giving a little bit more to people who are doing community service, which is fine with me. But
yeah. And the thing is, like, it would have been perfectly fine if it was less money and it was being given to the people who actually need it. But it's being pulled out of the pockets of like middle of the tax bracket taxpayers and going straight to people.
Right back into middle of the...
and then it's just going straight to people who didn't look at college as an investment and just looked at it as, an experience or like a career building tool. And it's like, you really just needed to go deeper than that.
Hey, and we're not going to talk about this, but I'd like to throw this in here. It's my opinion on the government. We'll get into that later, but you're taking this money out of the pockets of, like you said, the middle socioeconomic status tier of people, putting it right back into the middle socioeconomic status tier of people. But guess whose hands on that money as well throughout the whole process of this happening?
I know. And it's just like, and the thing for me is like, yes, it's coming out of the pockets of those people going right back in. But the thing that you got to remember also is a lot of blue collar workers are in the middle class.
Also, yeah.
They aren't getting the money back. They are not receiving any benefit.
They will never see it.
They're only being taken from.
All they can hope is have kids go to college, right? And further perpetuate the cycle of making college a necessity.
Free money.
It just further perpetuates the cycle.
At the end of the day, man, like, who doesn't love free money?
Yeah, that's about it. Free money for everyone. Students, to all you students, non-students, people who have been students in the past, former students, whoever you are, this has been the college loan debt forgiveness. Go get some of your loans forgiven, even though you probably won't see a lot of this money because it's going to be gone before you can even see it. if you're not in college right now. But this has been Dorm Room Diplomacy, episode number 4. Thanks for tuning in. We should have the episodes all up on Spotify and Apple Music at the moment. Socials are coming very, very quickly here in the near future.
They're coming very soon. They're coming
very soon. You heard it from the man himself.
Absolutely.
You're all going to have to hold him to that now. But besides that, yeah, all your comments, reviews, and likes are greatly appreciated.
Of course.
And we'll see you guys in the next one, with lack of a catchy outro. So see you later.
Peace.